Hospitality cosplay is a black eye on the industry. Now, I was at a hotel recently, very nice place, a marble floor, and a guy at the front desk who smiled at me for so long, I started to wonder if he needed help and not the other way around. He said, and I quote, "Welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us today." I paused to think, not wonderful to meet you, wonderful to have you. A curious choice of words, no? Almost like I was a fish on a hook that he had just reeled in. And here's the thing, I've worked in hotels long enough to know that greeting lives on some laminated placard back in the front office. It was taught to him in training, and he's been saying it to every single guest who walked in the door that day. It had been said 40 times before, and it would be said 40 times after I'm at that front desk. It's just like the greeting when you get in the hotel. "Thank you for calling Hotel XYZ. How may I direct your call?" Except this is different. This was in person. I'm standing in front of you. That rote greeting, it just sounds flat. It's a greeting in a costume pretending to offer me a warm welcome. That's not hospitality. That's hospitality cosplay. Welcome to this week's episode of Unhospitality.
Unhospitality, the #1 podcast in the world.
Before we begin, if you like what we're doing and what we're creating here, please drop a like or a follow, whatever platform you choose, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. We're there wherever you find your podcast. Thanks for following along. Now, let me walk you through the greatest hits of performative service. And I know these are going to resonate with you guys because you've you've seen them all. These are moments when the form of hospitality showed up, but the soul, the essence, it had called in sick that day. Let's talk about Exhibit A, the greeting or the celebration that attacks you. You walk into a chain restaurant, before you've even fully crossed the threshold, before your second foot has even landed in the restaurant, 3 different employees shout, "Welcome in." There's a supermarket that I go to that every single time someone walks in, they're like, "Hello, welcome to the certain supermarket." Every single person in the store comes from all corners of the room. You haven't been welcome. You've been processed. You've been screened. You are a customer-shaped object that triggered a welcome protocol. That's it. And don't even get me started on the entire wait staff gathering around the table to sing happy birthday with fireworks in their hands and everyone clapping along. It's the third time you've personally heard it while you sat down for your dinner, and you're sure you're probably going to hear it another 3 times. It's performative hospitality. The waiters and waitresses are feigning joy and birthday excitement for a stranger during your dinner. They probably sung that song and gritted their teeth 30 times in the week. It just has an air of being fake. You can see the guest's face. They're partially entertained, and the intrusion on the other diners as they roll their eyes for the 6th time hearing the same birthday song is performative. Now let's talk about Exhibit B, the check-in that asks, "How are you?" Now, it's a genuine question. I don't mean to paint these people as evil people, but the person asking you that is already typing. Your answer, whether great or my grandfather just died, is going to be greeted with pretty much the same answer. "Oh, wonderful. Can I have your credit card, please? What's the name of the reservation?" I mean, these are the kind of things that is just a question that they ask without really wanting to know the answer. They didn't want to know how you were. They wanted to perform the act of asking how you were. And there's a big difference. They want to process your check-in as soon as they can so they can get to the next person behind you and check in. They're really not recognizing you as a person. What they're doing is seeing you as a person to check in a room. And let me be clear, this is not a pitch to make each check-in experience a podcast interview of 15 minutes back and forth. Sometimes all I want after 18 hours of travel is to get to my room as soon as possible and skip the small talk. But guess what? Even that requires emotional intelligence on the part of the front desk agent. To see someone is tired or groggy and to expeditiously check them in without small talk is customer service in that case. It's an act of grace. It's an act of genuine connection because they see you're tired and they want to get you there. Now let's talk about Exhibit C, the farewell that's already moved on. "Have a great rest of your day," said to your back as you're literally walking out the door. It's delivered to the back of your head. It's a throwaway sentiment aimed at someone who is already gone. They're really not wishing you a good day. They're just performing the greeting departure. These moments are not malicious. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's designed them to be hollow. They were designed to scale, right? These are massive hotel operations, but warmth doesn't scale. And that's the whole problem. Warmth is felt, it's sensed, it's personalized. It recognizes the person in front of you and communicates genuine warmth. I'm going to give you an example. I was in a hotel last week, the Derby Hotel in London, which is a curio collection property on the north bank of the River Thames. So this is a full service hotel, not a roadside motel, not a place that gets credit for just showing up. There's a standard here, and they met it. And not only did they meet it, they exceeded it, but not in the way you'd expect. And let me explain. I get to the desk a little early before check-in time, and I can see luggage behind the counter. Now, I know instinctively that those are guests who have stored their luggage after having been denied an early check-in because there are no rooms available due to high occupancy the night before. Now, Samira at the front desk greets me warmly, but breaks the news quickly. She goes, I don't think we're going to have a room ready for you because I'm checking in early. And my category of room probably won't be ready for a few hours. She clicks a few things on the keyboard, a few buttons, and her face lights up. It appears there might be a room ready after all. She doesn't hand me a key and move on. She leans in a little bit and cheekily says, it's your lucky day. And she means it playfully. She's in on it with me. She's enjoying this game here of trying to find this room. Then we somehow ended up in a full back and forth about EPL football. It was the last day of the season and I was going to a game later that day, actually to a team that she doesn't like. And I probably shouldn't mention her presence. I mean, she was sharp. She was quick. She was actually enjoying it. And it really made me feel like I was seen. This wasn't about a check-in process. It was about seeing me as a guest. She got me a win to get me in the hotel early. And then we had a fun banter back and forth about her favorite teams in EPL football. It made me really feel welcome. Now, that didn't come from training. That's not a module you can just bring out to people. You can't script banter, right? It requires someone who's actually there. Sam at the bell stand. I want to mention him. I want to talk about what Sam didn't do. He didn't rush me at the door. He didn't intercept my bag before I decided I wanted to help. There's always this moment of tension when I have a rollaway bag and I see this bellman staring at me like, I'm going to help you with that. And I really don't need the help. It's just a rollaway. I can carry it right there. Sam didn't do that. He paused. He didn't rush me. He stayed at the door. He watched me come in. He gave me space and he waited. And it was the second that I looked like I needed something. I kind of paused and looked around the lobby. Not when I spoke, not when I waved, but when I looked like I needed help. That's when he was there. He had a warm opening. He was ready to help the whole thing. He came over and he met me where I was to see how he can help me. Now, that's a skill most people in hospitality don't use because most systems train them out of it. Sam had to trust his own read of the room. He did. He had to watch me and see the moment I needed help. He didn't impose himself. He waited for me to signal that I needed help, and he was right there. And then there was my waitress, Donna. She was perfect. She walks up to me, looks, and she says, now, where do you live? You're making me jealous with that tan. Not, have you dined with us before? Here are the specials of the day. Again, nothing wrong with those openers there, except there's no warmth to it, right? She didn't come to me with the opening that they teach you in F&B orientation. F&B, by the way, is food and beverage for those of you who are not in the industry. She saw something, a person, a story, and she went straight at it. And then we talked. We talked about travel. We talked about living in different places. I asked her where she had been. She asked some of the places I had been. It was a real conversation that happened. And it wasn't about the food or the menu. It happened because she chose to see a human being in front of her instead of a table number and a check. 3 different people, 3 completely unique experiences of being seen in warm hospitality. There were different moments, but they all played out the same way. None of them read from the same card, all of them doing the same thing. They were actually paying attention. And that is hospitality. That's not a department manuscript handed out at training. That's a culture. And whoever is leading that hotel is clearly doing something right. So let's pause as we finish up this podcast to talk about what actually makes people feel welcome. What did Sam, Samira, and Donna do that the Marble Lobby guy didn't do? Well, they were present. They were not performing presence. They were actually there. They were actually looking. And I think that's the whole secret, which is annoying because it can't be franchised. It can't be handed out in a document or a manuscript. You can train someone to say the words, but what you can't do is train someone to notice that a guest looks like they need the space before they need help. You can't train someone to open up with a joke about football instead of a scripted line. Those are things that wouldn't come in a manual. And you can't train someone to see a tan and start a conversation about travel and the life behind it. That comes from instinct. It comes from within, from actually caring, or at least being awake enough to pay attention in the presence of the person in front of you and make them feel seen. That is hospitality. Real hospitality isn't about luxury. It's not about the thread count or the guy who takes your bag before you decided you want him to take it. It's about being seen. And the opposite of hospitality isn't necessarily rudeness, it's indifference wearing a smile. It's a system that's learned to mimic the gestures of care without the actual caring behind them. And we've all felt both. We know the difference in our bodies, the warmth that lands versus the warmth that bounces off of us. So here's my working definition of hospitality earned through way too many hotel checkouts in 1 week in London where three strangers at the same property reminded me what this industry is actually capable of. Making someone feel welcome means noticing that they've arrived, not scanning them, not processing them, not giving them some rote script, but noticing them as a person. Samira noticed I might want a little laugh at check-in. We joked about EPL football. Sam noticed I wasn't ready for help yet, and he waited back until I signaled that I did. And a waitress that noted a tan and decided that there was a more interesting conversation behind that tan than just a script rote response. The marble lobby guy, well, he noticed my credit card and hurried me off to my room. One of those is hospitality. The other is a very polished machine. And that's this week's episode of Unhospitality. I appreciate the love, the support, the follows. Keep it up, guys. I want to hear from you. Some of these episodes, guys, are formed in conversations that I have when I'm realizing what actually lands in your travels and what speaks to you. So if you have ideas about future episodes, you want to be on the podcast, reach out. We'd love to have you here and talk about some of these things face to face. And let's continue the conversation about these untold stories of hospitality. Until the next time, guys, safe travels.